Hello everyone, welcome to a new video tutorial. Uh, thanks thanks all for the input in the forums. This time I'm recording it with a lower resolution. Let's hope that this way video quality is improved. Anyway, this one will this time around will be addressing the creation and use of actors, like suggested. Also offers, mission offers, conversations that also are part of that. This we also will be addressing how to play subtitles. That's a quicker one, and tooltips. Try to interact, and obviously I'll try and explain stuff as we go. Okay, so starting on top as usual, created top level queue with a delay. This time around, you can see I have two checks in use. The reason why to use two checks is that well, one is the obvious manual trigger. This is for the testing purposes, like I told you in the last video. So it will only trigger once you manually activate it by changing your player name. And the second one is to make sure this mission only triggers if your Argon notoriety is at least +1. This is no top 1, so this notoriety P for positive level 1. I think 0 is where you can dock at some stations, and I can't really remember. But 1 is guaranteed. You can at least dock at most stations, and that's why we have that, because in the following nodes below we'll be needing at least one station to be available within the Argon space. So once this is true, so given your notoriety is high enough, the queue will trigger and will create a trigger value that also, in preparation to follow-up queue, is already set here to 0 for now. So it's available for the code to check, but it does nothing yet. I'll go to that when the time comes. Then because we need a station to place our actor in, I'll use a find station like last time. Again, queue reference, object reference. I used basic name. If you want to use more than one station, you should try and make the the reference a bit more obvious and a bit more unique. But for now, offer station is good enough, I think. So I chose class factory, so it will find any factory within the Argon race. This excludes docks and shipyards. So docks means trading stations, equipment docks, outposts, and shipyards should not be counted because, well, it's just, I wanted it that way. Again, make sure the docking allowed 1 is set, so it's a station where somebody can dock at it. I used the set invincible node here because it's within missions. It's always good to make sure the objects you are using are not being destroyed between when you find them and when you get to use them. Uh, so I prefer to use that. Obviously, for say for generic missions, this is not a really good method to use. But if you don't use the invincible say trick, you will have to make sure you have a way to be monitoring the objects you are using within your mission. So in case they get destroyed, your code does not get to a halt. Um, I'll be going to this type of situation in a later video and try to be because this is very crucial to mission creation. But to not confuse you too much, I'll just explain why I use that and go into this in a later video. So set invincible. So once the station is found, it's set to invincible, so we can make sure it stays there. If it's invincible, it will be not removed by God. It will not be destroyed by an NPC or a straining missile or whatever, unless you cheat, delete it on your own. We have a 99.9% guarantee that the station will be there once we need it. So again, like I explained last time, make sure the station exists in the sense that the find station may not find any station within the criteria we set. So just to make sure, in any case the station is there for us to use, should the find station not find anything within the parameters we set, we will do a do if and check object exists, the station we set, and if it's 0, so if it does not exist, it will find a sector, a randomly organ sector that starts the search within the same area as the station should be, and once it finds that sector, it will create a station within it. Create a station with the same reference organ, and here I used a very useful variable. I quite like stuff to be not not always as random as possible, but I like stuff to be random. It gives you a replay value. It's obviously a bit more trickier to handle the code with. As the more random stuff you use, it's the more difficult it will be to make sure everything happens the way you want it. But there are some places like here, for instance, that I just set 3 station types that will be chosen from every time randomly. So you get 3 different stations. It's just different. It's not so every time you play this, it will have a different station. Maybe the more stations you put in, the more chances you have to have a different station. Obviously, you can see I put in this character here. I have no idea how you call it. This is used to separate the various types. So it will randomly choose a type name from this one. This should be a wheat form, I guess. This and that one. I think it's an Argnu factory, and a Kahuna, if I recall it right. Anyway, you can look up these types as you type them, and then paste them here. Make the list as long as you feel like. The more you put, the more randomized it will get. Again, use the invincible flag, so it makes sure the station is indestructible, so it's there. The position is I used the center as a reference, then put a minimal radius of 10 kilometers. This usually avoids stations to be set up smack in the middle of a sector, in traffic lanes and stuff like that. And use the sector size variable, so this will return the size of because the sector we set is random, is not fixed, so we don't know how big it is, and it would be stupid to put a maximum placement value of say 50 kilometers or 60 kilometers in a sector that might be just 20 or 30. So using the sector size variable, returning the sector's size, will put a limit so we can make sure the station is within the basic sector radius, and not somewhere off, which is just, you can do that obviously, but in this case the station will fit better within the sector and not be some lone station somewhere off, and be immediately obvious that, oh, that's like a station that is set from the missions code. Again, it's just, if you want to use, it's also a way to show you the various variables that exist and how you can use them. Obviously, if you don't want it, just put a number here like here and it's done. And the placement sector, obviously, that we found here, and so the station is created. So we have either found the station or created a station where we then will place our actor. So now to the create actor node. So we set here the create actor, name it as any other object, again queue reference, object reference. But in the case of actors, it's just that actors are not really physical. Actors are just a reference. They don't really have a body. You can put an actor in a ship, in a station, in an astronaut, in your cargo bay, in your how you call it, in the big ships, as crew, but they don't really exist. So if you want to shoot an actor, you would need to put them in an object, and you can shoot that object. And when the object gets killed, the actor gets killed as well, unless you put it to invincible. But the object reference is the same as any other object, because you want to refer to it later on and do stuff with it. So it needs the same reference as you would put to any object. The character, this is the name of the actor, the one that will show in game. It's like bandana, or you. So I just put in random pilot Argon. This means it will choose any name within the Argon available names. This is set to pirate. This is wrong. This is Argon. I can explain why I put it here. I put it here pirate just to explain that pirates are not really a race. Pirates are a race within the game, meaning they have their notoriety values, they have their aggression values, they have their faces and everything, but they are not a race. So to use a pirate, you will have to set the race as pirate, but you will need the sub race flag to choose whatever race you want the pirate to be, because there are boron pirates and argon pirates and whatever. So you would need to do that. But for now, we change that back to argon and remove the subrace flag. So because we want it to be argon, the voice flag. This is a number that you can get from the types file. So if you open your T file in the X3 editor, you will get in the string sections, you will get these page numbers. So 101 is argon variation 1, or 102 is variation 2, and so on and so forth. Because we have set an argon actor, I decided to put 101. So it will choose from the 101 all these voice options. So when you contact the player or attack him. That's the options it will choose. The face is the picture that will show up. In this case, 101 is the female military one. You can choose whatever you want. I just took the first one. You could use voice flags. This is something this needs a bit more coverage. Voice flags. If you want to randomize voice flags. If you want to randomize it, you put 32. So this is actor voice flags for random voices. It will choose any. Not really sure why it's always 32. I couldn't find any reference to it. I just know it's 32 always for voice flags, and it will then choose any voice options for that actor. But I don't really like that unless it's for a generic actor. For mission stuff, I rather have more control over it, so I'll use voice 101 so I know exactly which voice it is. Again, you can go up in any of these pages or available voices. Obviously, if you choose this page, you will only have these options. If you choose that page, you will only have that options. So for generic stuff, use the generic variations. They are pretty much all the same. They vary differently in tone and options, but you know, it's just scout through it and find your best suit. So the face we covered. The location is let me move this a bit to the side so we cover all of it. The location, I set it to crew because stations don't have pilots, you know, so, and they don't have passengers, and we don't want it as a product. Product is good for Marines. You want to put Marines on sale with a proper name and everything. That's what you use. But in our case, we put it as crew. So it will be in the comms option in the station. If you want to place the actor in a ship, and say you have up to M3 ship, so you can put an actor as pilot or as passenger. You cannot put it as crew because there is no crew within M3. But if you use that's true also for transports. But if you use say big ships or like station transporters or destroyers and stuff like that, that have a captain or a pilot, in this sense a pilot, and then have a crew, like communications and stuff, and so in those you can choose either the actor to be a pilot or to be a crew member or to be a passenger if they have passenger slots. So those are available for all three. So when you contact a big ship, and you get the first option, crew is the ones that appear. If you put it as pilot, you would need to click on captain, and then you get to the pilot screen where hope that was clear. If not, let me know on the forum. I'll explain it a bit better. So object to be placed in is obviously our offer station that we either found or created before. So it's set there, and that's our character, and it's there. So now if you would go to this station and either dock or hit comms, you will find this whatever actor, and you could talk to him using the generic options that usually are available characters on stations. Obviously, you can't do much more yet, because that's where we go next. Is where we go and create our offer. Let me put this back. To be able to create a proper offer, you would need conversations. Now, before we go into this, you have to you might see I have this additional 2 files open here. These are crucial. These are both found within T folder, text type folder. So you will have to extract this is the English version of the generics text file. Extract that, and the conversations file. This is where all the conversations are stored and set up. So once you do that, we go and create offer conversation, and that's why it gets a bit tricky. So the conversation name is L2 offer by 1, because I took a vanilla version of that conversation that is already existing. You can create your own conversation based on this type of file. Mind, conversations are not really missions director, even though if they are really text files, so they obey their own set of rules. I might do a video on that later on, but for now we just assume we are using whatever conversations are available to us existing. As you can see, there's plenty of them. There's like a ton of them. It goes on and on and on. So for now we are going to use because there are some are specifically designed for existing missions, like offer, find, hard. The one above is easy version of the same find. Transport illegal wares. So these are already set up for those specific missions, but very kindly of Ecosoft to have some generic ones that you can change to your likings. We will use the very simplest one. This is it's good to use for is used in asteroid data missions, where you can have one or multiple options. In this case, the one I took is the first one, only has one option. But if you go downwards here, you can see offer by 3, you get 3 options to buy stuff from, and 4 and 5, and you can if you want, you can create ones that have 7 and 8 and 20 or whatever you feel like. But for now we'll use that one. So this is set up the way that player has a set of generic randomly created texts that basically all say what you got. They don't really say what you got. If you open up 3800 generic player replies, and you go and see what was it, 1400s. So let's go up here, the 1400. See, it says you selling something, do you have something to offer? So and to keep stuff generic, they set up this 8 options. So every time you commit, maybe a different one will be used, so it does not get repetitive. But in any case, the reply to it, once you click that what you got, you get a reply. This is what we have. Oh, okay, this is fixed, so it will always be the same. And then this is the part where it gets interesting. This is the part where you can decide what it says. I'll show you in a minute. Page 3800 5001, which is, let's switch back to X3 editor, go way down, and you can see the 5000 and above are so-called params or parameters. The parameters are set here so you can manually decide what you want. So the 5000 is the param offer text. The 5001 is option 1 price 1, and the 2 is option 2 price 2, and so on and so forth. So in the mission this looks like this: conversation by 1 from actor. This is important that you define who is giving the offer. We set up the actor here, so it's the same reference. The actor is that one. Discipline just means defines the symbol that is attached to the name, to the offer. So in this case I used the blue book. I put here, you can see here, commented this out, the various discipline symbols. So the T-XXX gives you the trade, the golden credit sign type of missions. If you use the XFXX, gives you the red crosshair. This one gives you the green build blocks. This is for build missions you use. The XXXT gives you the things. This is the white bulb, and 4X and the P at the end gives you the blue book. This is usually done only for plot missions, but you're free to use whatever you want. Obviously it would be a bit illogical to use the red crosshair in a transport wares mission, or use the in a sector patrol to use a white bulb. So usually try to keep the symbols accordingly to what they are represent, because players will assume if they want to fight, they will try to find missions with the red crosshair and ignore all the others. Anyway, to really differentiate this offer from the others, I chose the plot one. Doesn't really matter, but I just use that. And so in the option 1 param name, this is the name of the param. That's this, param option 1, param add option 1. So the name of it is option 1, and the value is whatever it has to be within that value. But okay, strings don't really work, I think. Usually you put in here type ID, so you go like I don't know, page 17, whatever, 258, and that's the text that will go on. Usually you can take that from the player replies, or you can create your own and then reference them back. So, but this is the text that will be on the button and saying this is it, and the price will be the value that displaying how much it will cost. That's the whatever you will have to pay. So this will show then, let's move that back. So this will have a button with player reply text and a number saying that's how much it will cost. Mind that these are limited. This not a lot of space available. Don't know how much exactly. This is you have to try out and make sure you don't overextend. Like this is not for descriptions. It's just a small text that you can have a button to choose from in game. So once you do that, the offer is set up for and waiting until the player gets there and talks to our actor. And to make sure this happens, we have in the next queue that it needs to be a sub queue. You cannot have conversations completion checks in the same level queue as the offer. So it needs to be a sub queue to wherever the offer is set. So we have conversation completed. Mind, this is an event check completed, so no delays. The conversation is this one. It has to match the one we set up here, and the actor has to match as well. So the code, no, because you can have multiple options at the same time, and that's how you differentiate from them. It's how you have the actor because you can only have one offer per actor anyway. So if you have multiple offers in the same actor, the last one will just be, copying over the other ones. So that's how you differentiate. You can have multiple actors with multiple offers, one each, and they will differentiate between the actor's reference name but you can have the same type of offer with specific stuff to their own. But so it's to make sure this is the only offer that is will be checked here is this one, and the result of this offer is except one. Now, where do you get this? You get this from the conversations file. You can go and you can see player text. This is the question 5001, and the outcome. The outcome is this. If you change this to something else, you will have to change that here as well. So this has to match. This is like a number, or this needs to be exactly the same. So because that will return when you talk to the guy, that will and you press OK, that it will give you except one, and bang, accept one. So you accepted this offer, and it will trigger this queue, because we have another queue here, and you can see it's the same conversation, same actor, but the answer is cancel, because the outcome of cancel is when you hit no thank you. This is already set. No thank you very much. I have no time, or couldn't care less, or press escape. It will give you cancel as a result, and then you can do other stuff with it. I'll explain that in a minute. So assuming the player presses OK, you get we have set here a delay for 2 seconds to cancel the queue that the player says not OK. So to make sure this queue does not stay active for ages, because you only have to choose yes or no. You cannot choose yes and then choose no. So once you choose yes, we will cancel the queue that is no longer needed, that is waiting for you to not accept the offer. So it will be removed. I removed also the actor because I don't need him anymore. He already sold me whatever I wanted to buy. You don't have to remove him immediately. You can remove him later on, at the end of your mission, in the next queue, depending on how subtle you want it to do. Because once you put that remove, not remove actor, stupid me, sorry, I was mixing up remove actor with remove offer. The remove offer is oh crap, lag. Once the remove offer is to remove the actor selling stuff, because if you don't put the remove offer, the offer will stay there for whatever. So you can talk to the chap more than once, and you will get into a loop. So cancel that queue that is no longer needed. Remove the offer that is no longer needed. Again, you can remove the actor. I actually think I did it later on, but we'll get to that. I was talking about removing the actor. Once you don't need it, you can wait until you change this actor or move on with your life, and then remove the actor so it does not disappear immediately. But that's maybe something I'll address in when we create a mission, and I'll talk about how you clean up your steps. Anyway, so we had the offer, and the offer we set up the offer so that it says whatever you are buying costs 42 credits. But it does not mean once the player presses OK, it automatically takes 42 credits. So you have to, quote, manually remove the 42 credits from the player account. Now, I just put here reward player money minus 42. So the problem is here, what if the player has no 42 credits? Huh? So this is something, again, we will talk about it in detail later, but this is exactly the type of crucial thing that it's a bit confusing, but it's really important that you prepare this stuff, because you have to think, what if I want to remove 42 credits to a player that has 0 credits in its account? The mission doesn't care. If the player has 0 and you remove 42, well, it means it didn't pay anything, because it will not go to negative. It just means the player had something for free. So if you really want to make sure the player pays for it, we would have to make a check first and say, okay, you cannot afford this, you cannot buy this. So you would have to make a check that the player has at least the amount of money in his account that you are subtracting, or you want to subtract it. But again, I think this is something we'll just go in a future video for in detail. But this is crucial and that this is where it's actually the most complicated part, is to come up with all the scenarios within the mission and make sure things really happen the way you want them to happen. So, but again, we now just assume the player has 42 credits at least, so they get extracted. You pay 42, and because we are good chaps, we give him a notoriety boost. So we give him, we add. You can add the notoriety. Again, I could just put Orgon in it normally, but if you don't know the actor's race, if you choose a random race, you could again use actor race as a variable from the actor and extract the race of the actor from there. And I'll put in a variable notoriety gain with that is at least notoriety +1 and 2, something the MD will choose anything in between those two and give it to the player, and it will increase its notoriety. And because now everything we wanted to happen does happen, I put in here the set trigger value to 1. So because this will trigger this queue here below, and I'll explain it in a bit. Beforehand, I will want to go over the possibility of the player canceling your offer, and you can either not just give a damn and having the offer stay there until the player goes up and says, okay, I'll take it. So if you want that, just ignore this, delete this, and it will be, the offer will be there on and on and on until the player goes to the actor and says, yes, I want that. And then what we discussed before happens, and it will trigger, and it moves on. But if you want something to happen in the case the player does not accept your offer, sometimes it's good if you want that. You can do two things. You can either check conversation completed, the offer we set up, the actor we set up, and the answer is cancel. Or you can use the same here and use negate. Negate just means what it says. It means exactly the opposite. It means whatever you checked here needs to be untrue instead of true. So the conversation is completed and the actor is correct, but the answer is everything but this. So this is sometimes so much easier if you have, say, 5 possible outcomes, and you have covered all the other aspects, but in one aspect you want to stuff happen if any, if you choose one excluding all the others. Hope that sounds, a bit. So in any case, this just means if you choose except one, this will not trigger, because it has a negate in it. And here, because you don't have the negate in it, once you choose except, if the outcome is except one, it will trigger. And every other outcome would be true in this case. So if you had 3 options, say, and the only time this will not trigger would be in except one, but say you have except 2 and 3, if any of the other 2 are chosen, it will be true in this one. Yes, if it's not clear, please post the message on the forum or on the video, and I'm happy go back to this negate. This is very interesting, something really useful in a lot of checks, because you can this easily have checking a variety of options with just one condition, instead of having multiple, like tens of lots of conditions checking all possibles. You just take the one you don't want and make sure all others are okay. Anyway, moving on. Again, if needed, I'll go back to that. This is very interesting. So here again, I'll put cancel for the other queue this time. So this one is no longer needed because we have our result. So the option and the offer is removed again as well, and the trigger value is set to off. Again, you in this case you could have all sorts of things happening, just chosen. So if you say you don't want, everything is just closed down, and let's move on. Now, why did I use this trigger value instead of just adding a queue here below the actions like usual? Well, this is easy because we set here these 2 queues, and I don't know if you noticed it. They are both at the same level because they refer both to the same awaiting condition from this previous queue. So they need to be in the same level because they have the same priority, because you can either say I accept or I don't accept at the same level. So, and because any of these results would need me to move on to below. So if I would go here and make the next queue this way, down this path, if you chose this one, this would not trigger because it would not be loaded yet, because this one is not done yet. So it will, it would need be on the same level. So that's why I created a queue again at the same level as both of them, and I added the trigger value. So I added a value that makes sure any of these 2 are finished, because I set the value in both of them. So both of them are, when any of them are triggered and done, they will give me the trigger value 1 and move on with this queue, and I can move on my mission from this queue downwards. I added an additional object change sector just to make sure the conditions are not being checked every few milliseconds, and just to also show that different types of checks you can use. As you can see, I did not add any more parameters here, because this means I'm only checking if the player is changing sector. So It doesn't need anything more. This is all it needs. And as you can read here, it says also triggered when launching from docked. This is very important. Every changing sector means when you undock from a station, it will give the same information to the queue as you would go through a gate or use the jump drive. So make sure you understand that. So if you undock, change sector, it's exactly the same thing. So for this queue, it will be true both times. And I'll add the check value for the trigger value, and if it's exact one, we move on. The timing again, just to have a delay. So here I put some spaces. Usually this is only one line, otherwise it will be too long and doesn't not fit in the screen. So, but anyway, so this is ask question. Ask question is similar to incoming message with one benefit. You can add options to choose within the ask question. So once if you in an ask question, if you have the small button below and that says OK, and you add a value to it, when the player presses OK, this is something you can check in a later queue. So ask question, like any other object, even if it's not really physical, has a reference. So I put in the queue name. I could have used this, but again, I don't really like to use this whenever possible. So queue name here, object name, which is a generic name. I just put a question. The author of the question is the actor we used above, and I put this pop-up 0 is default, so you don't need it if you want 0. If you put 1, the message will immediately pop up in the user's face, unless he has already an interface open or something. Don't really like to use that, so player just gets a ping and then goes and reads his incoming message, and it will display the text that says, do you want some profits? This is text, how you call this? This is expressions for new line. Center will center the button, and select value. This will be the button, and this is the return value. And this is the important bit. So you have a select value sure, and the text that shows within the button. So the button will say, yes, I want lots of profits, and if you click that, it will return sure. And I add another button, put in 2 lines, and no. As a result, don't have time for this. So you have 2 buttons at the bottom of your message to choose from. One gives sure, and the other one gives no. And that's a good thing, because in the following queue, and again these need to be subqueues to the queue that the ask question is, otherwise it won't work. So you have here an event queue again, no delay, question answered, question, and the name of our question. This is this one, see, and the return value, the answer. So 1 for sure, that would be if you press the first one, and another queue. What is it here? It's the same queue, the same level as the other one, the same question, but answer no. The first one we will be addressing is reward player with the where. I took any random wire from one, and again here, like I told you before, this really would need to be addressed correctly. How you have to make sure whatever you're giving physical stuff to the player, that it will fit. So for instance, you chose a food stuff, primary L1, I think wheat or something. and it's probably S, but say you put in here a laser tower and it's XL and your player is flying an M3, so it won't fit. So that type of stuff needs to be thought of beforehand and created all the checks and making sure that's the type of thing the player can have, or in case it doesn't, you need to react to that. But again, I think this is better to address in a later moment, specifically because it's rather it's not complicated. It's just a bit overwhelming, and we don't want to confuse you a lot now. So once that is done, you get at least one, whatever that is, and maximum 500, and then it moves on to this queue, and that's where we have your subtitles example, which is rather simple. I use the queue complete check and not completed. I use is complete, so that hence the delay means any time the queue is complete after the delay is passed will be true. Queues complete themselves once they run out. So I saw some people in various queues using in the action, putting in the complete queue. Not even sure why it's in here. Not many ways I think this could be useful. Queues complete themselves automatically. There's no need for that, so just skip that. So once the queue is complete, it will trigger this one, and the do all says play subtitles. The author is our actor, so it will this is name, I forgot, author is actor name, duration in milliseconds, and the text. Well done. Now I really don't have seen any mission or any vanilla code that actually uses this, because when you play a text line, subtitles are played automatically if they are enabled. Don't think this has ever been used. So, but if you find the need to use it, that's how you do it. Then we have the tooltip. It's called show help. This is the stuff that happens on the right top side when you probably see that pops up once in a while, giving you a hint how to do stuff. I took 5,000 milliseconds forces to make sure it forces, and I used the text. I think this is here, 2006. What the hell is it? 2600. Where is it? Here, game tips. As you can see, you can. There are some predefined. There is a limit amount of text you can put in, I think. Never really used custom text, so just use the ones that I think most stuff is covered anyway. So, but that's how you do it. And like within offer, we have the second option question, the no version. So given the player instead of choosing yes chooses no, we'll do something different. In this case, I chose to show you how you play sounds. In this, it's called play text actually. So as you can see, it says play speak text subtitles only if no voice recording is associated with text. So if the text is associated with recordings, that's generic stuff. Like I said, page ID is 110, so you can look them up. The ones that says voice yes, you can choose that stuff. So like this is all existing strings that you can use, and they have voice and subtitles to them. You can create your own. No idea how you would include sound or voice to them, so you are on your own on that note. But that's how you do it. So you say, I put in priority 91 is 99, so it's to make sure it's above most things like station announcements or incoming message sound. The higher the number, the higher the priority. And not sure it's useful above 100, but I think any number will be just, the bigger the better. And then you put the line. The actor is our offer actor because we already set the voice and the page. So, and then the page ID and the text ID, and then you read that and use whatever parameters you set up in the actor. And the last bit here, again, this time I used the queue completed. So this is event, no delay. Sorry, this is I can't stress this enough. This is really important. Sounds stupid, but once you know it, it's okay to know. But you can't really stress it enough how many missions are bugged because delay is set in an event queue and stuff like that. So this will trigger immediately after this is done. I mean, this is seriously immediate. And this is like the cleanup I was talking about. So I set invincible 0 to the station we had invincible before. So it can be a normal object again, can be destroyed, removed by God and stuff like that. And the actor, because we don't need it anymore. So remove it, destroy actor, and cancel the top level queue. So this mission, all the queues here, and make sure that everything is gone and clean up and does not clutter. Now I think there is an issue with cancel queue in the sense that over time they are still being checked. I think this is true for TC. Not sure about how it's true for AP. I think talking to Xenon Slayer, he mentioned something about fixing that. But anyway, just at least cancel it so it's gone. You can use destroy queue if you want, but then then it's really gone forever. There's no way you can remove it and reuse it, so it's gone. You also can remove stuff without destroying it, meaning, so say you have created a station for your plot, and now you don't need to track it, but you don't really want to remove it from the game. You can remove it. Here you can say remove. As you can see, it says remove actor object from queue tracking, does not destroy it. So the actor is there, the character is still in game and available. This is true for objects. Where here object, remove steps, actor, value. You can all remove all that stuff, but it's not removed in the sense removed from the game. It's just removed from tracking by the missions director. It saves performance, but it's still available in game to be interacted with. Okay, I think that's about it. If you find it was a bit unclear in some places, please let me know. I can address it in a later video. For now, I think that's it. Hope it was informative, and see you next time.